and energy. All right, we're gathering. We're gathering. Find a seat. If you didn't get coffee, get some coffee. That's how we like to start our morning, caffeinated, happy. I wanted to remind you all about the after party from the 1MC. So please stay around and continue your connections and meeting everyone and connecting. It's a super important part of 1MC. It's one of my favorite parts is how we host the event and then everyone stays around, connects, and that's how we, again, build the ecosystem and how we bring economic vitality to our communities. Is all of you. You're all a part of that effort. So today we have a really, I'm very excited, fantastic presentation on something that's happening in GP and the Dollar Mountain Trail System. And I am so honored to bring them to the 1MC and welcome Doug Bradley to the stage.
Well, thank you, everybody, and I am so glad to be here to be able to tell you the story of the Dollar Mountain Trail System. But first, my name is Doug Bradley. I am the general manager of the Holiday Inn Express here in Grants Pass. I am on the Tourism Advisory Committee for the city, and I am on the board for Visit Grants Pass. So some of these things I'm pretty passionate about, and it's just very nice to be able to sit here or stand here and be able to talk to you guys about it. Now, before I go any further, there's a recognition I want to give to Chad Thorson and Josh Hopkins. There's a lot of key partnerships that made the Dollar Mountain Trail System possible, but it's safe to say without these two people, it may have never happened. So I just want to make sure up front that these two are recognized for the work that they put into this project. And Chad is here somewhere, so. And with that, we'll get started with just some basic information on Dollar Mountain. In 2019, the city of Grants Pass purchased 446-acre tract of land known as Dollar Mountain. In 2020, the city of Grants Pass began a feasibility study, feasibility review, assisting the National Park Service and the Conservation Assistance Program on the best process for that. Overwhelmingly, most people listed their top preference as mountain biking, 50%, and then hiking was 34%. Dollar Mountain combines land from the city of Grants Pass, Josephine County, and the BLM, and made possible by grants from the city of Grants Pass and matching funds of $350,000 each. And a bunch of other grants came into process with that as well. And here's the graph that kind of shows the respondents for Dollar Mountain. As you can see, mountain biking was huge. Hiking was second. I don't know what the other is. I was always kind of curious about what that is. And then the economic impact. Mountain biking is one of the most popular and fastest growing sports in the U.S. A study commissioned by Travel Oregon found cycling tourism annually spends about $1.5 billion. Now that's nationwide, that's not here. Southern Oregon Trail Networks are estimated to deliver $7.5 million in visitor spending annually. And that was commissioned by, I think, Travel Oregon came up with those numbers. Dollar Mountain is a top-level mountain biking and hiking destination that will allow us to capitalize on Southern Oregon visitor spends. This Dollar Mountain Trail System is a system that people will seek out to ride when they're planning their trips to get their mountain biking in. And of course, there's ancillary spending in lodging, dining, and shopping. And one of the things about mountain biking, I happen to be a mountain biker as well. We don't really like to ride in the summertime, and that's our busiest tourism period. We're going to be more likely to be riding in the spring and in the fall. The reason that's important is because all of our hotels are always full in the summertime, so we're really looking at ways to expand the tourism season on each end. The beginning of it, which would be the spring, and the end of it, which would be fall, which we're in right now. This is perfect weather for mountain bikers right now. And here's the graph that shows, it was a Travel Oregon study that was done in 2022, but as you can see, cycling there at the bottom was about $1.5 billion compared to a lot of other outdoor activities. And what to know? Trails built by Ptarmigan Trails, a well-known and respected trail building company. They also designed and built Mountain of the Rogue Trail here in Rogue River, Whiskey River Run in Coos Bay, 100-acre Wood Trail in Coquille, the Chehalem Ridge Nature Park, I hope I said that right, and Park in Gaston, and many others. And they were designed by C2, C2 Recreation and Consulting. Now, Chris Bernhardt and Chris Keimer are the owners and operators, and they've been involved in various mountain bike projects around the world. Chris Bernhardt actually wrote the book on trail standards for the International Mountain Biking Association. So that's the quality and the caliber of people that have come into Grants Pass and designed and built this trail. And this is why it will attract mountain bikers from all over to make this a destination for them to try these trails. Other cool stuff, it'll be ADA accessible. Now, there are special adaptive bicycles that people will use on the trails, but it is ADA accessible and adaptable. At the end of the project, will be roughly 25 miles of accessible trails. Trails are designed to reduce hiker-biker conflict, which means as a hiker, you can feel safe that all the fast trails for bikes, you will not be on those. If you've ever been out, that sometimes can be a conflict for people. The 450 acres owned by the city has been fire mitigated with about a $400,000 grant that was provided for that. So that's another nice opportunity there. Access and trailheads, originally accessible from B Street up on Crescent Drive. Now the main access will be Hegland Loop with the grand opening that happens on November 2nd, or November 1st, excuse me. And we have paved parking in both locations at this point. And here's an aerial view of what Dollar Mountain Trail System looks like and will look like once it's done. Right now we have about 11.5 miles that we're opening. The entire project will be 25 to 30 miles upon its completion. And I talked earlier about some of the partners that made this possible. We worked with the National Park Service, Oregon Department of Forestry, Travel Oregon, Travel Southern Oregon, and Visit Grants Pass, Bureau of Land Management, C2 Recreation and Consulting, Grants Pass Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, Grants Pass Bikeway and Pathway Committee, and the Rogue Valley Mountain Bike Association. So all of those people kind of came together and made it possible for this to happen. Some of the challenges: motorized ATV use and vandalism. We've already experienced some of that. Illegal camping and wildfires. Now, I talked about the mitigation project that we did, so that is reduced with this project, but it is still somewhat of a threat. And being a mountain biker, you know, mountain bikers are kind of a clique of people that have money. Their bikes often are $6,000 to $10,000. Their transportation methods are even more expensive than that. And there's a certain mindset, and I'll give you an example. You know, I've got an amazing, beautiful wife. I've got awesome sons and 2 pets, but when you meet me, I'm going to show you a picture of my bike. So that's kind of how mountain bikers think at times. And just so you know, that's my bike. That's actually me with my bike up in the mountains. So now we get to what can you do? You know, coming from a tourism viewpoint is kind of the scope that I put everything under. With this system, we will be able to encourage visitors to come to Grants Pass, use these trails, and spend money locally. It's important that we understand tourism assets, who we want to be when we're competing with other people in Southern Oregon. Medford has a very big sports market. We want to become, and we're very well positioned to become kind of the outdoor adventure recreation area with our downtown, our wineries, the trail systems that we have, the Rogue River. So these are the assets that we really want to look at developing over the years so that we can get more visitors, encourage visitor spends, and have an overall very positive impact on our local economy. In addition to, part of the goal is to make sure that we make everything very usable friendly for locals as well. We don't want to become, I guess some of the things I've heard, we don't want to become Bend, which has been overrun with tourism. For some of those people would say that. We want to have the local feel, we want to have the outdoor adventure feel, and that's what Grants Pass really wants to become. So what can you do? You can advocate. Let the city council and commissioners know that you are in favor of these projects. Volunteer. Get out, help build the trails. Get involved in a committee. Get involved in something that can help bolster confidence and education in these areas. Donate. You know, you can always donate money to people that are trying to accomplish things. Most important, just get out there, have fun, and take care of yourself. It's great to be out in the woods, hiking, riding bikes, staying in shape, and it's just good for you overall mentally to kind of have that outdoor adventure mentality. And what do I hope to get out of this presentation? Well, the main reason I'm here is, just to invite all of you to our grand opening that's November 1st. This is the grand opening flyer. It'll be at 198 Hegland Loop Grants Pass. And that is the trailhead as you get up there. There is plenty of parking down below in kind of the neighborhood area, depending on what you want to do. And then the event itself will be just a short walk from there. And another thing, when we're talking about, cycling assets that we have in Grants Pass, we also have the BMX track that most of you maybe have seen at the end of Elmer's, or over by Elmer's. That is also another world-class track. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but that has the ability to host regional and national events. It's because of the way it was built and who designed it. And we actually have a huge event, 2026. Dan, how many is that going to bring? Yeah, so close to 1,000 people will be coming into Grants Pass just to compete in a regional event there. So cycling kind of seems to be a way that we are finding our niche in Grants Pass and be able to capitalize on outdoor adventure spending. So that's all I have. Now it's time for questions. Thank all of you.
Is this thing on?
So I used to ride dirt bikes all over that mountain, and I imagine people still ride dirt bikes all over that mountain, and they're going to take their bikes up your downhills and cut trenches into them. So what do you do about that, and what's the maintenance cost over time to deal with that kind of problem?
Well, they are enforcing that, and they are minimizing any motorized traffic use. I know they've already had issues with it, and my understanding is that they can patrol with drones and different things like that and keep people off the trails. That's the goal. But you're right, we do need to be concerned about that.
I'm just wondering, are there any other facilities planned for the site, like a picnic area or bathroom, or what are the skill levels of the trails that are being put in for hiking and biking?
Well, the skill levels are from moderate to very difficult. So you get a pretty wide variety. There are short loops that are pretty easy to do and a lot of fun. What was the other part of the question? I'm sorry. I am not sure. I know there's been talks about putting up kind of a viewpoint at the top of the mountain. We have completed phase 1, so some of that stuff might come in phase 2 and 3 because there's a couple other phases coming as we speak. So right now it's mainly biking and hiking, yes.
Okay, you're going to hate me after my question. So we don't ride ATVs. We have a vehicle that we use. And I understand what the challenge would be for an ATV, but I don't understand is it a challenge if my husband and I are up? We don't wheel, we just ride up in the mountains. And my second question is, what is just so tragic is when you are riding on the mountains and somebody has come and unloaded all of their trash. What can be done about that, if anything?
Well, As far as the first part of your question, which is you guys riding up, any ATV or motorized vehicle just damages the trail, and that's just why it's not allowed. And then as far as people that aren't treating our outdoors the way that we would hope, we just have to keep on top of that. And advocate, volunteer, those kinds of things will really help with that. If there is garbage, maybe people just clean it up when they go, before they leave. You do find that out in the woods at times where people just leave all their garbage. I don't know what can be done about that except for good citizens kind of compensating for it.
So could you put together a committee that could help clean it up? Because, there's old washers. I mean, what's up there. And it's just awful.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff has been cleaned up and as part of this project. So we would mainly want to keep it that way. And yes, that would be the volunteer part. Whereas if you could start a committee, or the city or tourism advisor, whoever, have a committee to, kind of patrol, keep it clean, make sure that it's nice for everybody. Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.
I also noticed that the more people are in a place, the less that happens.
Yeah.
So the more popular it is, the less people are going to try and get away with something.
Just a question on the address for the ribbon cutting. This morning at Chamber of Commerce, they said the address is 353 Hagelin Loop. I just wanted to ask about that.
Thank you for asking. That's a good question. There's actually a range of addresses that will work because it is kind of up at the end of an intersection, and you'll see it. There's a gate there, a yellow gate that they'll have open and everything, and then you drive up from that about 30 yards. I would actually recommend, if you're not part of the chamber ribbon cutting, that you park down below in the neighborhood and walk up to it versus drive up. There is parking. There's plenty of parking, except for probably large event status. So, but that's a good question, yes.
Thanks, Dad.
Super quick. You might have said it. So is it open to access right now?
Yes.
Just quick question on this part. You said no motorized. What about like your cross bikes that have the small motors on them that a lot of the mountain bikers are using these days?
E-bikes are allowed. Yes.
So one of the benefits of this is going to be the tourism that it can bring. And then I'm thinking of those mountain bike competitions. I know Mount Ashland does them, both biking and then even trail running. What is the process to bring something like that to Grants Pass?
Well, the process would be to identify local organizations that engage in those activities, find the leadership involved, and kind of work through them to say, hey, what events are happening annually? When do they happen? Could we bring something like that to Grants Pass? And then from there, you could work with the Tours Advisory Committee. You could come to one of our committee meetings and do a presentation. We could consult with Visit Grants Pass on getting that word out there, reaching out to people, and just looking at helping people create these types of events in Grants Pass. None of these entities actually create them, but what we will do is encourage them, provide the backup for them, and market and advertise so that they're a successful event.
So is there a group that would, like you said, market and advertise it, but it would take an individual to be like, I would love to start a race on Dollar Mountain, and I'm going to go find out how to accomplish this?
Yeah, Visit Grants Pass is a local tourism marketing entity, DMO, Destination Marketing Organization is what they are. And that's Dan Buck right there. He is the head of that organization. And all these things start with conversations. I've been talking about the BMX track for a number of years, about how important that facility is and what it could bring to Grants Pass. And I'm so happy because now I'm right. it's happening. So it's going to bring a huge event.
RV MBA would probably be a great place to start for an actual facilitator, organizer of a race or an event like that. Rogue Valley Mountain Bike Association.
Yep. And for trail runners and different things like that, there's slopes and trails. There's a few different organizations as well.
Have you guys gotten listed on all trails? Is that going to be a thing? Because I know there's a whole section for mountain biking. Are they on all trails?
I was going to say, I believe we are, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on trail forks.
Love that.
Cool. I'm just kind of curious about the marketing and how you kind of put the word out that this new trail system is available. How do you attract all of those world-class mountain bikers here?
May I defer that question to you, Dan? He's the one that did it. He's the one that did that. So
This is the last meeting that I come to. We're doing quite a bit, actually. And in fact, in the last 24 hours, we released our first teaser content you may have bumped into on Facebook or other places, courtesy of Brand Foundry. They did a great job. A lot more of that to come. Hallelujah that Grants Pass enjoys a personality like Speedo Rito, who was able to make that come to life so fast. We will be running campaigns on Trail Forks. We have Free Hub out here this week shooting, so we'll have more video content. There's quite a bit that's going on with that. You'll see a lot more. The challenge that we'll have is that you probably won't see a lot more because we do most of our marketing outside the area. So I'm happy to answer questions afterward without this microphone.
thank you, Dan, for helping me out with that.
What is your basic demographic? Is it people with $5,000 bikes? Is it families? Is it individuals?
Well, it's all of the above. I think one of the target markets, though, are younger people with mountain bikes just because of the spending that they are capable of doing. These people do have money. Like I said, their bikes range, anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. So they do love to travel. They do love to hit trails, and they will plan their vacations on that. So that would be our main demographic. But the trails are open to anybody that wants to have fun on them, really, is kind of the main demographic. From a tourism standpoint, the reach will be mostly to mountain bikers just because of what the trail system is.
What's the difference between a $600 and $6,000 mountain bike? Do you go any faster?
Well, some bikes are e-bikes. So it's hard to say. I mean, I could go into a few minutes on that, but you've got carbon fiber frame, drop-down seat post, alloy disc brakes, all kinds of things that go into, a set of forks on a mountain bike can be $2,000. So they're very expensive.
Okay, got a question for you. It'll have hours, right? They're going to open and close. There's going to be a gate where people, it's not going to be a 24/7 thing, right?
No, it will close at night. I'm not sure what the hours are, but they will gate it at night. The gates will close in the evenings, yes.
Okay.
So I would imagine probably by dark you'd close it down.
How it all works out. We got really extremely lucky.
Anybody?
I'm Reed Beaumont, also known as Speedo Rito. What makes me excited about Dollar Mountain is all the hard work, the dedication. We're talking like almost on 10 years, getting the right people in the right places.
At the location, so yes.
All right. Well, then I will ask you our age-old question of, as a community, what do you need from us?
Well, as I indicated, advocate, volunteer. Tourism is really a huge economic driver for everybody and everybody in the room that has businesses. And tourism is kind of the tide that floats all ships. So if you encourage tourism, you will be bringing people into the community that will be spending their money. And if they're not spending it directly with you, they will be spending it in businesses that will then turn around and spend it in your business. Tourism is probably one of the main economic drivers that we could look at for our region right now, and that's why these things are so important to kind of understand.
I have one more question, just because I've kind of lived in your space in Arizona with trails and whatnot. What about places to stay? One of the biggest things that we ran into were cyclists who Airbnbs don't have a place for the cycle to be inside, or because they're not leaving them on their trucks. Right. So as far as hotels go or things like that, are you guys partnering with any specific places that you can encourage people to stay and their bikes are safe and things like that?
Well, sure, Holiday Inn Express. Why not?
Fantastic. That's a mic drop moment right there, Doug.
Best Western as well. Well, I would consider lodging to be one of our challenges here in Grants Pass. I do think we need to expand our lodging options for people coming into town. That's one thing I'd like to see happen. That's a whole much bigger conversation than trails. But yes, we reach out. We do all kinds of things to get, different kinds of business into the hotels. And I would never encourage anybody to leave their bike on their car overnight. These bikes are expensive. We don't have a lot of crime at my property or the Best Western, thankfully. But one thing that can inspire crime is when somebody walks by and sees a $6,000 mountain bike on the back of a pickup truck. So I do encourage people to bring their bikes in. But lodging is something I'd like to see us expand in Grants Pass, just so that we can have a higher